All right, so part two of collision boxes, crouching heavy punch nonsense. Recap, real quick recap. So there's a string that a lot of characters like to use in this game: crouching light kick, crouching medium kick, crouching heavy punch, and to a special one to have fun. Shadow Guy specifically likes doing this. Alright, because on block it does a lot of chip. On hit, you hit them. Alright, that's gonna be the wrong one. My bad. There you go. Okay. And so the collision box part that I was explaining in my last video is that if a character is going for the crouch heavy punch in the string, you can move your collision box and basically make their crouching heavy punch whiff. Like so. Punish it however you want to. The next question I had, because a lot of people were talking about Shadow Guy specifically last night, was if he's in Berserker, which is a pretty common deck for him, and he does a longer string, which adds a crouching medium punch to it. Looks like this. Not like that. Yes, it helps if you hit all the buttons, okay? So my first question, which I was pretty sure the answer is yes. The first question was, does this still work? Where you can move your collision box. I like to call it collision box shifting. Can you collision box shift and still make the crouch heavy punch whiff? Answer is yes. Because you're doing another hit, which should put you a little further out, which should make it a lot easier to do, which it does. So I don't like to leave it there because it's like, oh, so like you just can't do crouch fierce? Any character that has uppercut, crouch, heavy punch can't do this, which that's not the case at all. So the level 1 counter I had to this whole shift thing was like, well, why don't I just kick him in the ankle, right? Because that's another thing you can do in the string. Like so. Okay? And what should happen in theory is, at this point, and you can actually see this over on the side, at this point where I'm holding back to keep my collision box back after pushing him out, I'm too slow to get back down and I get kicked in the ankles. Right? So, yes, if somebody isn't really up to snuff with doing everything properly, then yeah, this works. But then there's another level to it. What happens if your crouching heavy punch and your crouching heavy kick are not on the same frame? You wind up with a scenario like this. Watch me miss it. That doesn't count because, and that's me missing it. Because that's something that'll happen when you actually do the whole proper thing. I'm so slow. That's why you gotta be fast. Like so. So it turns into a situation where if your crouching heavy punch and your crouching heavy kick are not the same frame, then you struggle against somebody who can do this properly. Because there is a window where they can stand and make your crouching heavy punch whiff, but they can also crouch in time to block your sweep. Off the top of my head, I think Garuda and conveniently Shadow Guys are the two easiest characters to do this to, because their crouching heavy punch is 7 frames, their crouching heavy kick is 10 frames, meaning you have a 3-frame window, 7, 8, 9 to stand up, and then on the 10th frame, you have to be back down or you wind up on the deck. Now, there is one character that has a 7-frame heavy punch, but he has an 8-frame sweep. That would be this guy right here. So you can technically still do this to him, but good luck, because you're literally doing a just frame. Like, I'm pretty sure I would need a hitbox to do this. And then there are some characters that you cannot do this to. Like this trash can right here. And there's a few more. But Hayate, conveniently, nah, you ain't doing all that. Conveniently has a 7-frame crouch heavy punch and a 7-frame sweep. So the frame that you're standing up to make the heavy punch with, he's sweeping. That's basically the gist of where I'm at right now with this. I'm starting to think, like, try to look into more countermeasures and see if there's ever a point where you can just get a crouching light kick lead in, because you're doing this if you're playing flex. That's a good part of the game. And you can still get your fierce and still get a decent amount of hits in there. But that's for the next time I visit this. And until then, catch y'all later. Peace.